this video starts real quick, I just wanted to make a note for anyone watching this video doing the install for themselves. The O-ring that was supplied to us, me and my brother, for this install was not the right one, and I've heard of many other people having the wrong size O-ring given to them. If you order the charge pipe and the blow-off valve like in the same kit, it all comes in the same thing. For the most part, the O-ring that connects the charge pipe to the blow-off valve isn't going to be the right one. But if you do happen to order just the VRSF charge pipe alone, and it comes with the O-ring for the top of the charge pipe where the blow-off valve sits, then it's going to be the right one. But in our case, and in a lot of other cases, the O-ring that sits between the charge pipe and the blow-off valve is too big. I just wanted to point that out because in the video, in all the clips throughout the video, I was using the bigger one, the bigger O-ring supplied to me, and it wasn't the right one. So the C-clip, you'll see in the video, the C-clip wasn't sitting properly, and multiple times my blow-off valve kept popping off. But after reading the forums quite some time, I read that every so often HKS and the VRSF, when you combine them, they do supply the wrong O-ring. The O-ring is too thick, so it's not going to fit. I'm going to throw a note on the screen too in the video when I'm putting the blow-off valve and everything together, but I just wanted to make a pretty in-detailed explanation before we get into it. But I also, if you want to have the same size, similar O-ring that I bought, not that I bought, I had one laying around. After this short clip, I will show you side by side the comparison between the big one that doesn't fit and the small one that did fit. But the big one was too thick. The small one here, it is 1.5 inch by 1/8 inch. So the 1.5 inch is the ID, which I'm pretty sure is the
inside diameter.
Thank you, Chris.
Yes, sir.
And then the 1/8 inch is like the outside diameter / like the thickness. And once again, that's the smaller size. The bigger size, I don't really know the size of, but the smaller one is 1.5 inch by 1/8 inch. But if Chris would just bring the camera over here, I'll show you the difference in the size, which was pretty big of a difference. Alright, so here we have the two O-rings right in my hand here. This one here is the small one. This is not the one that came with the kit. This is the one I had laying around. This here was the O-ring that came with the kit. If you could tell, the diameter is a little bit smaller and it's not as thick. So this sits a little bit lower and it sits a little bit smaller. This size difference definitely did make a difference. This O-ring was too big and the blow-off valve was not sitting low enough. I went to this O-ring that I had laying around. I gave you the sizes, and this is the O-ring that you're supposed to use. Throughout the video, I use this O-ring, but don't worry, using the different size O-ring doesn't change any of the steps. I would just say get the smaller O-ring, and it will sit a lot better. The install will not work with this O-ring. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today's video, we're working on my N54 335i. I'm going to be putting a different blow-off valve on my car. Right now, I'm running my the regular dual cone intakes by Burger Motorsports, and then I'm running a forged charge pipe with a forged blow-off valve. But in this video here, I have a, see that box, VRSF. I have their charge pipe, along with a HKS blow-off valve. I didn't have any problems with my prior blow-off valve setup, but I just want something that has a louder, like a, what do you call it? A louder blow-off?
I think it's considered a
chirp. You call it a chirp, a louder chirp.
Yeah.
But then since I'm doing all this, not all this work, but since I'm doing the work, I also ordered 2 new intakes because mine are not pretty. They're destroyed, they're black, they're old. They used to be red. But anyways, when I'm doing this video, I'm going to do it already with my diverter valves off, with my stock air box out. So if you guys still have like the stock diverter valve set up, the stock intake box set up,
stock charge pipe,
stock charge pipe, yeah, because the stock charge pipe has 2 diverter valves if you're N54, but now you would be converting those 2 diverter valves to a blow-off valve. And actually, quick, this is in my head since we're in the intro, whatever, but diverter valves, if I get to ask this question, diverter valves don't, like when you get off the gas, it takes the boost and it recirculates it back into the car, versus a blow-off valve. A blow-off valve, once you get off, like it blows all the boost right out of the blow-off valve.
Releases.
So running a blow-off valve after you get off the gas, or I'll say after you get off the gas or you stop accelerating, all the boost releases at one point right to the blow-off valve. But running diverter valves, instead of it blowing off or like releasing out of the blow-off valve, it recirculates back and it reuses the boost. I know that wasn't like 100% accurate, but that's just the real basics of blow-off valve versus diverter valve. Alright, so if you guys still have a stock setup, either a stock charge pipe still or a stock intake box, I'm going to leave a link to the video up here, and then also I'm going to drop it down in the description. So if you need to know how to take out the stock setup, it'll be there. But then if you have the same setup as me, jump back to that video, or if you're installing the forged charge pipe and the forged blow-off valve, just stick with that video and watch it through. But in this video, I have my aftermarket setup still, but I'm converting to a different aftermarket setup. So now we're under the hood. Here we have the forged blow-off valve, forged charge pipe, and then I have the 2 intakes. So the first thing I just want to do just to get it out of the way is just take this line off. So just pinch those guys, just get it off. Just because it's gonna get in the way later. So now it's loose, I could just get it going. And then next is the 2 intakes. And I'm replacing these with new intakes later on. Not that that's important. Just get that out. Loosen that hose clamp just a bit. Okay. 1. And look at that. Look at how disgusting that is. That's just old. That's why I figured, since I'm under here getting this done today, might as well swap it out. Now with the intakes out, we have a lot more room to see what's going on. You can get a better look at my forged charge pipe right here, which I'm going to be getting rid of, and then swapping out the VRS charge pipe. The first thing I want to do with the intakes out now is just get rid of this vacuum line. I'm going to take it out totally because my new setup did come with a new vacuum line, so I'll just take this out. That's done, and then I'm going to have to pop this off, take this C-clip off, so this part here of the charge pipe could dismount from the throttle body. Before I get rid of the C-clip here, I'm just going to remove the T-map sensor, which is down here. For me, I just have to pull it straight down and out, and it's out. Don't forget to take this out before you mess with anything down here, because you could tear out the sensor and break it. Up next is just to get rid of the C-clip here. The best way to do it is if you have like a pry tool or something to fit under there, but I lost mine, so I'm just gonna use a pair of needle nose pliers. Not the best way to do it, but it should get the job done. Just go from under there, just work it up and out. And keep note, the prongs face toward the throttle body, not the charge pipe. So pulling it in and out, you're gonna put it on this way, with prongs facing up toward the throttle body. Now this should be loose now. Alright, it's a little loose, but after I get this off, it's easier to rotate this to knock it loose all the way. Finally, the last piece is going to be a hose clamp down here. You can't really see it, but it connects this coupling here to the intercooler. So I'm just going to try to take that one off. Again, it's an 8mm on it for me. One more thing I forgot to mention is down here, we have one more piece of hardware attaching the charge pipe to the actual car. I already loosened this here, so this coupling should just pop right off from the intercooler. But last thing is this right here. It is a T30 Torx. Thought I was going to take the lazy way out of it and just remove the coupler from the intercooler, but to make life 10 times easier, I removed the coupler also from the charge pipe itself. So I had it down here. Just loosen that hose clamp, just pick this up, and now I could wiggle the charge pipe off the throttle body like that. Yeah.
Pro tip.
And if you're
Hold on. Pro tip.
Boom. And since I'm looking at it now, I want to remind you guys, if you're taking off a charge pipe, you should have an O-ring all along in here. And now that that's off this charge pipe, we just have to take these 2 Torx bits out and put them into the new charge pipe, because this is for the T-map sensor. If you don't put that T-map sensor in, I'm pretty sure you'll get a nice 30FF code, which is always a good time. When you're swapping out the T-map sensor from stock to the VRSF charge pipe, or if you're going from forged to VRSF charge pipe, don't use the stock hardware for it. It does not fit in the threading. So get those off to the side, and in one of the little baggies, it came with diverter valve covers and a couple of zip ties and this coupler here. There's a couple of screws in here that you use to attach a T-map sensor. So use the screws provided, not the stock screws. Alright, so now it's time to put the blow-off valve in. The first thing is this O-ring. The O-ring came with the kit, and then after the O-ring, you're gonna want to put this on. But first, I'm gonna put this C-clip around the blow-off valve. And when you do it, I hope you could see it with the detail. This is like a little bit of a tapered look to it. And the opposing side here is flat and just smooth. The flat, smooth side faces the bottom, and this little tapered look here is gonna face the top. So right now, I'm gonna try to open this C-clip to get it around onto the blow-off valve. Say what's up, Chris. Oh, nice wheels, but okay. I hope you guys can see that. We have the clip here, right here, but I can't really do this with no hands. So that, oh, maybe I could. I'm gonna squeeze that like that, get it closed, and sit that in. I can't really do that here, but I'm gonna do it off camera. You see this? You squeeze that clip and put it into the blow valve so it sits in.
The first step we're approaching at this is putting the charge pipe in by itself. Nothing attached to it. The blow valve is not on yet. The coupler that goes to the intercooler is not on yet either. You want as much room as possible to put on this charge pipe because it is not easy. So with not anything installed on the charge pipe, it should give you the most amount of room as possible.
And just also beforehand, the clip before I did put the blow-off valve on, but I just wanted to show you how to assemble it when it was off the car because it made for an easier demonstration. But when putting the charge pipe into the car, try not to use the blow-off valve just so you have extra room to work. Alright, so now actually putting the charge pipe onto the car, I like to do it this way first. I attach it onto the throttle body first before attaching it onto there. Because to get a tighter fit onto the throttle body, once it goes on, let me see if I could demonstrate. You kind of want to rotate it up and down like that, like up, down, to try to get the...
You're not straight though.
No, to get it tight like that. That's straight, right?
Yeah.
Oh man. But onto the charge pipe onto the throttle body is the first step you want to do. Alright guys, we're back here with day 2. Yeah, we didn't finish this in one day because last night, it was like around 6:45, 7 o'clock. We were messing around with getting the coupler onto the charge pipe and the coupler onto the intercooler. And one of the nuts for the hose clamps, I dropped and it went way down into here somewhere. So by the lack of daylight we had, we just happily called it quits for the night because I wasn't going to start looking for a lost nut down in the engine bay without daylight. So this morning I woke up pretty early. I just found the one nut, I reattached it, and then I just reattached this coupler off camera. There's not really too much footage that we could show from that because it was just a lot of messing around with the tight fitment. But this is the coupler here. It attaches to the charge pipe right here, and then it attaches down here towards the intercooler piping over here. But besides that, the only thing I still have to do for the charge pipe part is just throw the blow-off valve back in, and then after the blow-off valve's in, we just have to put in my 2 intakes again. Alright, so now with the blow-off valve getting ready to be placed in, O-ring goes first. It came with the kit, no extra pieces here. And then this little C-clip here goes on. And I don't know if you can really tell from where I am, but there's like a ridged part here, a tapered part I could say, and then on the other side is just a flat bottom all the way across. The flat stays on the bottom and the tapered part goes up top. And then also right here where the airline's gonna go to goes towards the back of the car, and then where it says HKS is gonna face the front. So it's going to sit like this. I just have to grab my spanner pliers. See that missed. This you want to make sure the C-clip goes in, because if it doesn't go in, this blow-off valve's gonna jump off on you, and you don't want that. Alright, now the blow-off valve is in with the C-clip in, it's tight, it's not going anywhere. I just have to throw in the 2 intakes next, but I still have to get them out of the box. I actually lied in the previous clip. I said next we were going to do the intakes, but first, before I even touch the intakes, I want to put on the hose they gave me. It's a 4mm hose. It seems a little short, but it should work. And then it also came with this air filter that you're supposed to run from here, and the filter's supposed to be somewhere between here and the actual manifold. So this here I really don't need, so I'm not going to throw it on. So let's leave that off to the side, and I'm just going to attach the hose. I have it attached to the back here into the manifold, but I'm just going to throw a zip tie on just in case, because I just don't want anything falling off in the future. Just throwing on the last zip tie here. Off camera, I threw in the 2 intake cones. It wasn't really too big of a deal, so I don't want to record it, but alright guys, that's pretty much it for this video. We're recording this outro a week later because after we installed the blow-off valve, I had a crankshaft sensor issue, but that was nothing related to the blow-off valve install. But the blow-off valve was running good, it feels good, sounds good. And one thing I wanted to note quick before we got out of the video was I did wind up running the filter. I did wind up running the filter right here just to give me a little bit more room on the vacuum line because it was a little short, but it really doesn't make too much of a difference if you run it or not. I just ran it just because why not, and it gave me a little bit of extra room. Before we get out of this video, I'm just going to do a couple of revs, a couple of drive-bys, and then how the blow-off valve sounds in the car. But one more thing I want to note one more time is if you guys did skip my lecture in the beginning, look out for the O-rings. The O-ring that they supply you with is too big. You're gonna probably want a smaller one. If you want the in detail, go back to the beginning of the video. I don't want to repeat that whole thing again. But that's it for this video, guys. If this was a helpful install or you just enjoyed the video, drop a thumbs up. If you have any questions about the blow-off valve itself, the O-rings or anything, leave a comment down below. And if you also haven't already subscribed, please do. But on that note, we will see you in the next video. Peace out, guys.